Fritz, great to see you again. Welcome to ITB.
Thanks, Philip. Thanks for having me.
It's always an honor for me to be on stage with you. We've done it, I think, in China and Italy and Germany, and now virtual. Here's to soon being back live. I'm getting tired of these virtual meetings. I'm sure you are as well. So,
no, that's true.
Hey, can you believe it? You've been CEO of TUI for 8 years now.
Yes, that's almost true. Almost true.
A veteran. Well, you went from a newcomer to veteran practically overnight. You know, it's amazing. I was just reading that TUI's fourth quarter 20 revenues were a little under 500 million euros, which is a lot less than 4Q19 of almost 4 billion, but still that's quite an accomplishment.
It is very little. I mean, it is, usually what we do, 10% of what we do in that period. And of course, you have an enormous, restrictions everywhere. I mean, we started in 20 so great. We were up double digit in revenues, and then the 16th of March last year, and since then, more or less, we are still a company with no product and very insignificant revenue. So it's not easy to be in tourism right now.
No.
But at the same time, one thing is also clear: there will be a time after the crisis, and that will be very different.
Yeah. For sure, I can't wait. It was interesting. I interviewed Dara recently, the CEO of Uber, who we all know from his Expedia CEO days. And also their ride business was just destroyed. But Uber Eats had a revenue run rate go from 2 billion US to 40 billion US in 6 months. So crazy times, crazy times. So Fritz, you've been fond of telling your team and everybody that TUI has become leaner, more efficient, and more digital. So would you say that's been the mantra for the last year?
Actually, I think I think it's important when you don't have any revenues, and you don't have a product to sell because of state restrictions. It's very important to do two things. The first one is to react immediately, right? And that actually reduce cost, took out more than 70% of cost to actually save cash wherever you can. But at the same time, look through the crisis. So the question of, what can you do in the crisis to make the crisis a chance? Yes. And here I believe that, when you look at the market, there is enormous evidence that after the crisis, the market will be very good, because the fundamentals of the leisure travel market, being aging population, more healthy, people are longer time retired, they have the money, they want to travel, so have time, and also experience is a new luxury. So people want to do things more than to own things. That will prevail, and that has led to a growth in the last 15 years that was double GDP, and that will actually prevail. But of course, the company itself will be a company with more debt, and that actually means that you need significant more profitability, and that's the reason why you need to change and be very ruthless in changing the company as well, in order to provide the profitability actually for the future.
Yeah. And Fritz, speaking of change, I've always been impressed with the TUI Innovation Lab in Parkbit, Mallorca. I don't know if everyone knows about it. Could you tell the audience a little bit about the Innovation Lab, its purpose, and how big it is, and all those things?
Sure. I mean, we have, the digitalization has been at the core of the company for the last 2 years. And what we actually want to do, and what is actually digitalization, what's special about digitalization is mass individualization. So you have the benefits of scale, so low cost and quality, at the same time individual services. And individual services also encompass, one core part, which is services around, the experience of vacation, which are manifold as there are customers. And here we have actually our TUI Amusement destination experience, and where it all comes alive is actually at the TUI app, because when you have purchased the vacation, all material are in the app, and then 4 months, 5 months before you go on vacation, you start, we know that you will be in Egypt, and we start actually communicating to you, and all of that is actually done in Mallorca. And in Mallorca, we test all of it, the software development, the design, and so on. The global headquarter of destination management, of destination experience, of amusement, how we call it, is actually located in Mallorca.
How many people does TUI now have in Mallorca doing this?
Actually, the whole organization had 10,000. Now, in the crisis, we actually reduced it by several thousand, so more than 4,000, because it was customer service reps and so on, part of the organization. But at the same time, we built, a significant part of almost 1,000 people, which actually now curate content, design software, flows for customers, the offer, CRM, and so on. So that is a huge part of the change of our company, that actually reduces the traditional business and builds the new business. By the way, the one thing in the crisis which we never stopped, actually accelerated, was actually IT development. So, almost everything else was stopped, but we said, let's use the crisis
big opportunity
to even grow faster in digital.
And speaking of growing in digital, TUI recently engaged a travel tech company I'm on the board of called Moby Systems.
Yes.
Exciting project. Could you tell us a little bit about this engagement and the objectives?
Yes, the IT stack, the global cloud stack for amusement actually went live several quarters ago, and then actually we got to know Moby, and it took us just a couple of months to integrate the company. And what we do is actually mobility management for our customers. So when they arrive in destination, how do they actually go to the hotel, the whole management of the journey from the airport to the hotel. And that is actually planning for the coaches, and what is the optimal route, and also the visualization in a cute map as part of the app. So it's not only very useful and it's very efficient, but it's also playful. It's nice to use by our customers.
It's always a great opportunity when you can achieve great efficiencies on the one hand, but dramatically improve the customer experience on the other. And I know this system, you'll be integrating both internal data like flight schedules, delays, cancellations, passengers missing, as well as external things like weather. Should be quite fascinating.
Absolutely. And the interesting thing here is when you are a provider of content, right? So whatever experience you have, museums, hot air balloon rides, and so on, the only thing you need is an internet access. Everything else we do for you to have an access to our 27 million customers in order to get a great experience. So from the display of CRM, displaying the right customers to the right experience, the booking, the payment, so and also fulfillment. Everything is done by us. The integration is virtually close to none. It's very efficient. So the only thing you need is actually an internet access, and then you are present with all our customers.
I'm curious, before we move on to another topic, but at TUI's peak, how many transfers in destination did you do a year?
Oh, millions. I mean, or millions. I mean, it's a lot. When you think about, that we have more than 20 million customers every year. Yeah, and to most of them, or many of them, we do the transfers. To some, of course, with third parties. So, but not all of them are us. But even there, also the third party transports are through Moby integrated into our app. So it's a very seamless experience.
Switching gears, TUI has a lot of capital tied up in hard stuff, aircraft, hotels, real estate. And what opportunities have you taken advantage of during the pandemic to free up some capital, while at the same time, what we just discussed, improving customer experience?
Yeah, I mean, what was true for digitalization? Digitalization, we started 2 years ago. We just accelerated in the crisis. With the assets, we did the same. We defined an asset right strategy before the crisis. You remember that we sold Hapag-Lloyd Cruises or integrated into TUI Cruises even before the crisis. But I think the important point is we want to get the assets, and the control of the assets and the product and the brand and the price, but we don't necessarily need them on our balance sheet. And that is, freeing up capacity in order to grow faster. And it happens to be that in the crisis, particularly for hotels and for cruises, this recipe was also a good recipe to free up cash. There is the other thing on aircrafts. In aircrafts, we all know, even before the crisis, there was overcapacities. And therefore, we use the crisis right now to massively scale down our aviation capacities, because here we believe we should serve the essential routes, the strategic routes, but not, all routes available. There is so much free capacity, particularly after the crisis, that we will be able to purchase air capacity in the market as well.
No doubt there are plenty of airlines that will be happy to work with you.
Particularly as business travel will come back later. Also a lot of business travel capacity will be actually focused also on leisure, which will be coming back very soon. And therefore, overcapacity will be everywhere.
Fritz, you recently started to do a live chat. I think it's with your employees. How is that going?
I think, before the crisis, if somebody had asked me, can you do and run a company virtually, I would have said difficult. Now we are here in the crisis and it works.
You got good at it.
But of course, you have to communicate a lot, right? And here we do chats, we do e-coffees, and that is working very well. But even more, I think on the culture front, you need to run a company more on vision, values, objectives. Task management doesn't work as well when it comes to virtual and organizations which are not close in one room. So I think it's even more important that you work on the vision, values, objectives piece.
Curious, Fritz, what's one of the biggest surprises, questions, or comments you've received via live chat?
I mean, when you have your people in more than 100 destinations, and they are remote, people don't get what's going on. I mean, particularly in the crisis, I mean, it's so important to communicate a lot, because, every information seems to be already out of date as soon as it's live. You have closing of destinations, opening of destinations. Sometimes you see a little bit of traveling happening, then quarantine again, and so on. Yeah. And therefore, it is so much information, and people need let's say, the encouragement to believe that the business will come back. And as much as I'm sure, as much I have to actually communicate, that to transport my optimism.
Right. Well, your optimism is contagious. That's great. I'll make a deal with you. I will let you know when I'm next in Germany, and you please do the same when you're in the US.
Absolutely, Philip. That's what we do.
Right. Ladies and gentlemen, Fritz Joussen, thank you very much.
Thanks a lot.